Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to Fragrance Sense. Hope everyone's doing great. So today we are going to talk about some artisanal perfumes. Now what is an artisanal fragrance? So we all know about designer and niche fragrance houses like Christian Dior, Paco Rabanne, Chanel, Jean-Paul Gaultier, so on and so forth. There are hundreds and hundreds of them. And us fragrance enthusiasts on regular days wear niche and designer scents. But there is also a category of fragrances which are artisanal in nature. Now, artisanal fragrances, friends, are made with exotic natural ingredients and materials and are usually made in smaller batches. And the house we are talking about today is Areej Le Dore, which is quite famous amongst its fans who treasure these scents. So, Areej Le Dore was established in the year 2017 by Russian Adam, and since then it has created lots of collections for people to cherish. Russian Adam has sometimes also collaborated with some artisanal perfumers like himself, namely Taha Sayyed, Sultan Pasha, and some others who have given the perfume industry some iconic scents from their catalogue. Also, let me tell you friends, not all artisanal fragrances are everyone's cup of tea. Since these perfumes include a lot of exotic raw materials, a lot of them very animalic in nature, I believe you sort of need to have a developed nose to really understand the artistry behind these perfumes. So without further ado, let's start with some brief reviews of these fragrances. Now I've spent a fair share of time with these since they were released in the year 2023. And as you can see, I've sprayed them on the blotter and have noted my impressions from the opening till the dry down. Now, some of you might think that since these fragrances are almost filled to the top, how can I draw an experienced conclusion? Now let me tell you friends, most of these fragrances are so strong that one spray is more than enough to last an entire day for you. In fact, the more sprays you go with these fragrances, it can get overwhelming and might disturb people around you, which most of us would not like. So, please keep in mind, don't overspray. Now let's start with the first fragrance called Ottoman Empire IV. Now there have been 3 releases with the same name before this in Areej Le Dore's collection, namely Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Empire II, III and this 4th version. Let me share the write-up and notes of this fragrance written by the perfumer, and I thank him for doing that on every box. So as you can see, Ottoman Empire IV is an extrait de parfum concentration, and the notes here are Jamaican pepper, cardamom and pure rose oil from Turkey distilled in copper using firewood. The heart notes, infusion of frangipani flowers, saffron, Indian agarwood oils from Nagaland and Manipur distilled in 1975 to 1993. Now that's what I was talking about when I said exotic ingredients, and they definitely smell top tier. The heart notes also have Indian vetiver, cinnamon and nutmeg. Base notes include amber accord, cedarwood and oak moss. Oh, it's just beautiful. So, Ottoman Empire IV for me opens up very floral and oriental in nature. I can very strongly detect rose, frangipani flower, presence of oud in a very ambery profile. It's beautifully done, just beautifully done. The oud here, in my opinion, is ever present from the opening to the dry down. From animalic to woody, it keeps popping up in phases. The mids of this fragrance starts to come about after around the 45-minute mark or 1 hour, and it becomes really smooth and round in nature. You can definitely start to detect some spices like nutmeg, saffron, vetiver and cardamom. And the dry down to my nose is mostly a beautiful concoction of rose and oud in a very oriental way. Now, as the name suggests, Ottoman Empire really in its nature is very grand and opulent. Think old heritage structures from India or Turkey, grand celebrations, festivals, also a sense of being in a spice and flower market. This here is an extremely good depiction of the Oriental culture. The bottles are heavy duty and are really well made. The performance here is really good. I have personally experienced it to be very strong on my clothes and skin for over 14 hours. And the projection is really good for around the first 3 to 4 hours. Someone can literally smell you almost 5 to 6 feet away. After the 14-hour mark, this starts to become more of a skin scent and a very soothing one. I love to wear this when I go to sleep, as a night scent. Now I also have the Ottoman Empire version 3 with me. Sadly, it's not with me right now, but I have it at my home. Compared with Ottoman Empire 4, the third version is much better balanced in my opinion. But if you like more oud, then this is the one to go. But I'm not sure how easy would it be to get your hands on all of these because they were sold out the minute they were launched. It's extremely expensive to get a hold of them in some international communities or probably eBay or somewhere where people ask absurd amount of prices. Now moving on to the second fragrance, it's called Russian Oud. And this particular version is the Russian Oud II. Now this here is the badass among all of these. It's dark, smoky, woody and very resinous. Wow. So this here, friends, is a very interesting combination of oud and cocoa. Basically, oud and notes of dark chocolate. Let's read the notes. So here, Russian Adam says, Russian Oud is a gourmand oud lover's dream. It is a perfume built around a chocolatey agarwood oil distilled in India according to an old traditional method. Now the top notes is a touch of natural deer musk and ambergris. Heart notes is cacao and Indian oud. Base notes is resins and cedar. Now this is a very straightforward fragrance, friends. The blend, when you smell, literally translates to these notes mentioned here. Not like some others which has a ton of notes, and of course to our amateur nose is very difficult to decipher that what all is there in it. Now when I wear this fragrance, friends, imagine super cold winter evenings. I'm talking about below 5 degrees Celsius, dry weather, some burning wood in your surroundings, a leather jacket and an evening to feel warm and comforted. This here takes the cake. The lasting for this fragrance is over 24 hours in a single spray, and I kid you not. And the projection for the first 7 to 8 hours is really strong. Like, someone can smell you as far as 4 to 5 feet away. All in all, a great oud and chocolate fragrance if that's your area of liking. Now moving on to Chinese Oud II. This here, friends, is a very interesting fragrance and a super complex blend. When I sprayed it at first, I could not understand the blend of notes in this one. It was kind of fresh, little citrusy. Definitely I could detect some oud and that was it. But there were a lot more things happening. Let's have a sniff. Wow. What I get in the dry down is just some really beautiful sandalwood and oud combination. But let's read the notes mentioned by the perfumer. So Chinese Oud II, friends, has boozy aldehyde accord in the top notes with sweet orange and bergamot. Yeah, I could definitely detect the sweet orange and bergamot. Wild henna agarwood oil from 2004 and a bouquet of extremely rare, pure and natural florals, namely rose, jasmine and gardenia, all of which were grown and extracted in China. Now base notes is old Mysore sandalwood absolute, exactly what I was getting in the dry down, Indonesian vanilla tincture and oak moss and patchouli. Now Chinese Oud II, friends, I believe is the second most wearable fragrance in this entire collection. It's not as dark and resinous as the Russian Oud, nor as forward with in-your-face florals as Ottoman Empire IV. The fact that Russian Adam has used aldehyde accords in the opening with sweet orange and bergamot, with sandalwood, vanilla kind of notes in the base, makes us understand that this was not meant to be a heavy fragrance. Beautiful work of art, as you can see on the cap. Now in the opening, as I mentioned, all these notes come in such beautiful harmony that it is very difficult to pinpoint each and every note when you smell it first. Slowly, it starts to show its beautiful colors in the form of citrus, florals and woods. Now this is the weakest performer when compared to the entire lineup, but it's hardly weak when you compare it to some designer niche fragrances. lasts easily up to 10 to 12 hour mark, projects for a good 1.5 hours, and on clothes, the sandalwood accord can literally stay for days, but it's very close to the piece of fabric. This can also be worn in slightly higher temperatures, let's say around 15 to 20 degrees or 25 degrees Celsius, but not more than that. And it blooms really well in that weather. This, friends, I believe is also a very good starting point for someone who's wanting to try artisanal fragrances without scaring them away. But at the end, it's all about your nose getting developed for these kind of olfactory experiences. Now let's move on to Siberian Musk 3. This, friends, in my opinion, is the most wearable fragrance in the entire collection. It's a beautiful concoction of citrusy green notes and musk. Let's give it a sniff. In the dry down, the musk is just popping up so beautifully and so well blended. Let's read the notes by the perfumer. So, Siberian Musk 3, friends, has top notes of bergamot, lime, mandarin, and Siberian smoky pine. Heart notes, a maceration made from legally obtained wild Siberian deer musk grains. Orange blossom, Indian sandalwood from the year 2000, galbanum, cypress, and a variety of spices. Base notes, sweet Assam agarwood oil, blue cypress absolute, patchouli, musk accord from the 1980s, and crude amber oil from 1906. Now here, friends, you can imagine the insane amount of exotic ingredients and natural materials used. Simply astounding. Now Siberian musk, friends, is something you can very easily pull off in high heat and humidity as well. The citrus notes on the top bloom very well when it comes in contact with humidity. That's my personal experience. This is also a really good option for someone who's wanting to try real musk. My fraghead friends always used to tell me that once you are used to artisanal fragrances, there's no going back. And I sort of agree to some extent that what these can do, the others can't. Artisanal fragrances, in my opinion, friends, depicts emotions and memories on a very deep level. They are so vibrant and vivid in their portrayal that they can really manage to remind you of some long lost memories. The performance on this one, friends, is moderate, lasts for a good 7 to 8 hours, and then it becomes a close skin scent. But the projection here is really good. For at least the first 2 to 2.5 hours, it projects really well. Now coming to the blend, as I said, it opens very fresh, and yes, you really get that feeling when you spray it first, which really beautifully settles down in a very round, musky tone. And the musk is so honey-like and amber-like and very sweet in its nature that you just want to keep sniffing your arm or your clothes where you've put this fragrance at. I really respect Russian Adam for his impeccable blending. Now, coming to the unicorn, Walimah Part 2. This, friends, has been on the list of every single artisanal perfume collector that I know of, and it has been praised very, very highly. Walimah, my friends, is such an enigmatic fragrance that I have not found something that is close to this. This is one of those things where the creator has created something perfect. This is again an oriental floral fragrance like the Ottoman Empire IV, and the star notes of this composition are champaka, magnolia, and Indian oud, in my opinion, friends. Let's give it a sniff. Wow. Now, as the perfumer mentions, Walimah Part 2 is a heavy, classical, floriental blend with a touch of highly matured, chocolatey deer musk and an addition of animalic Indian oud. The top notes are yellow champaka, distilled by Russian Adam, magnolia auto and magnolia absolute, and Indian oud. The heart notes are Royal Bengal oud, tobacco absolute, Indonesian cocoa extract, saffron and cinnamon. The base notes is a touch of natural Siberian deer musk, Indonesian vetiver absolute, aged from 2010, Indian labdanum absolute, and Peru balsam. Now when you read the notes, friends, it does not come across as something so special that I'm about to describe or I've already spoken about. But trust me, the proof is in the pudding. You need to try this. You need to try this to understand what an outstanding release this is and how it is different from everything you've tried. In a very good way. This opens up with a very, very sweet blend of champaka and magnolia with a touch of saffron and cocoa. The mids to my nose is the blooming of the tobacco notes and cinnamon. The base is, resinous with Peru balsam, musk, and Indian oud, also with notes of labdanum. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous blend. Now, Walimah, friends, in Muslim culture is where the groom invites the bride's families and relatives for a get together. And indeed, this blend is ceremonious in its nature. This is something I would wear on a special occasion, a ceremony, a marriage, and the likes of it. I know some may not agree with me, but I don't know, somehow I get notes of dried fruits as well, specifically date in this particular blend. Maybe it's the amalgamation of the notes coming together, but yeah, that's what I feel. A very royal blend depicting royalty in the most subtle and classy way. The longevity and projection on this one are really decent, say up to around 14 to 16 hours. And the projection is about around 4 to 5 hours. But that's not the point of owning this fragrance. It has to be owned for what it offers in perfumery. My utmost respect to Russian Adam for creating such a masterpiece. There is not a single note in this fragrance which tries to stick its nose out. I find this blend to be so harmonious and cohesive that it comes across as one scent. In fact, Oud, which has the tendency of cutting through many notes, is so beautifully blended in this creation that again, it sits in harmony and cohesion with the entire palette of notes. This also, friends, gives a vibe of a romantic fragrance. It's very unoffensive, and I believe both partners will enjoy this equally. So here was my brief review of the Classic Collection 2023 by Areej Le Dore. If you liked the review, please like, share and subscribe for more content on designer, niche and artisanal perfumes. And it's a request. Your subscription and engagement on my channel is going to motivate me to make more such videos. Thank you everyone. Until next time.